Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Health and Home with Stephanie. In today's episode, I have Logan Queck with me. He is a very proud girl dad. He is a wrestling coach, he's an entrepreneur, and he is the co-founder of Integrity Wealth Management. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for having me.
Yes, happy to have you. So today I am excited that you are here. Thank you so much for joining me. I really just want to dig deep into your company, what your company offers, and how it's different from other financial investment companies.
Right. So our company is a comprehensive financial planning company, and that just means that when we help people make financial plans, we're going to cover every single area under the financial planning spectrum. And the reason that's different is because most people that are in the quote unquote finance industry either started like selling mutual funds with a brokerage or started in the insurance industry, and then some of them stay there and some of them evolve into being complete or comprehensive financial planners like we are.
Okay, so what does that mean for someone who maybe has never even started to invest in their future or retirement? What does it mean to be a comprehensive?
Right. The best way for me to explain that is what it isn't. And so like typically what most kind of taking a step back, like the toughest thing in the finance space, I could use quotes, I don't know the perfect name for it, but is that the term like financial advisor, for example, isn't like a license or a title that you earn. Like, to be a realtor, you have to have a real estate license. Mm-hmm. To be an attorney, you have to go to law school and pass the bar. Well, anyone can call themselves a financial advisor, and they may only be people that sell insurance, for example. So you thinking you're going to a financial advisor that's going to tell you, if you need to save more, if you need to make some shifts here, if you have the right insurance, but the only qualification or the only specialty they might have is selling life insurance. So if you already have life insurance, they might tell you that you're good to go. Just because that's the only thing that they deal with, where we are going to take a look at your entire situation. So we're going to look at your home and auto insurance to make sure that your coverages are good. We're going to take a look at your estate plan to make sure you have a will, or some people need a trust. That's probably the most overlooked area that people miss. So we're going to help people come up with plans that account for every single area of finance except for like the lending piece of it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right. Well, so then it's just a full spectrum. They come in and they kind of share with you what their goals are as of today, and then you help devise a plan. What if something changes? And then maybe when they first come to you, they have their starter career and they've purchased their first home, and then now they know that they're going to be parents. So then do you kind of reevaluate at that time, or do you kind of reach out to them once a year? How does that look? That's
a good question. And I think one of the biggest shortfalls in the financial planning space is that nobody has a really good process for the follow-up. It's all about, you find a client, you help them develop a plan, and then there's not a process after that. You go to the doctor's office, and it doesn't matter what you're there for. You're going to get your blood pressure and your heart rate and all of these things. They have a standard of care there. Mm-hmm. Whereas like financial planners, there isn't really. Everybody can do the initial plan creation, but how do you follow up on that? So what we've done is we've taken the entire financial planning process and basically broke it into 12 pieces. So each month we review one part of somebody's financial plan. So you don't need to come to us when there's changes. We're proactively reaching out on a monthly basis to make sure that you are, that maybe you had a life change, like a house or a death or a marriage or a child. And so, you might go a couple months and forget about or not reach out to your planner, but we're going to reach out to you to see if any of those events have happened. And so what we do is we send out feedback questionnaires on a monthly basis at the beginning of the month, and based on how you answer those questions, we can give you feedback on whether you need to make any changes or not. And so like our topic for January is like goals and just lifestyle stuff. Mm-hmm. So we send out a questionnaire that says, hey, it's like one question. It's like, what is one thing that if it happened this year that you could consider this year a success? And then each month we have a different topic.
Okay, I love that. So the follow through is huge with you guys,
Right.
and then just really digging deep into getting to know your client, and then really helping your client determine, what their goals are in each of those categories.
Right.
So,
That's the really important part, is trying to figure out what their goals are, because like the first step of our process is figuring out, like, what are you trying to accomplish, and that does that even align with like what we do? Because if it's not, then we don't even want to enter into a relationship and have there be any disappointment. And so, a lot of times what people are trying to accomplish ends up being like what we can provide, but sometimes it isn't. So we would, say, hey, I don't think you're really a good fit for us, but maybe try this firm or this firm, and hopefully that helps everybody.
I love that.
Stay happy.
And I think that that's just makes you guys so unique as a company, and just your
Right.
philosophy. So very important. No
Yeah,
matter
for
no matter
sure.
what your goals are, you're going to provide, and your best recommendation or suggestion. And sometimes it might not be, to work with that client,
Right.
but then can kind of point them in another direction.
Exactly.
So with that being said, who is your typical client? Like, who do you normally work with?
So we mostly work with retirees, people that are, I kind of started in the, like I said earlier, like everybody in this industry starts like in the insurance industry working for one of the big insurance companies, or like mutual fund brokerages. And so I kind of got started working with a life insurance and annuity brokerage company. And so, they were working with retirees. And then, so we like to start working with people, 5 to 10 years out from retirement. And because a lot of people, especially right now, people are starting to go back to work, and they don't really know if they want to or not, but they've never had a plan put together. So they don't necessarily know if they can retire or when they can retire. So those are the people that I like to get my hands on, and just, kind of give them some peace at night. It's like, okay, now we don't have to wonder if I can retire. I know, like, if I retired now, here's what my cash flow would be like. Here's what it's going to be like in a couple years, and at least they have some data to make decisions instead of just shooting from the hip.
Okay, I like that. But then let's kind of go to the other side of the spectrum, and let's talk about that fresh. I don't want to say fresh out of college, but someone who's in their 20s, who's just getting started in their career. They have a really good job, they have the opportunity for a 401k. Should they come and reach out and talk to you about what their goals are, and really start preparing at 20-something for retirement?
Yeah. So the challenge has always been that, so there's a lot of conflicts of interest and bias in the industry, and it kind of all depends on like how people get paid. I've talked about this a little bit, but it's like, people that sell life insurance get paid to sell life insurance, and I'm not being disparaging them, because obviously life insurance, it provides a huge value, and we help people implement life insurance strategies too. But the challenge is that when you have somebody that has not accumulated any assets and doesn't need help managing that, then there's no way for a life insurance agent, if they already have life insurance, to make any money. So that type of person would get passed by. In the last few years, there's been a lot of cool technology that's come out that allows us to be in a mutually beneficial relationship with younger people. And instead of, I've heard a lot of people say, when I go talk to my insurance agent, and every time I go in there, they're just trying to sell me something. Well, it's not because they're bad people, that's just how they get paid. And so because of some of the advancements in technology that we have, we're able to offer financial planning services for like a subscription fee type of basis. So we don't have to sell you something to get paid. We can have a relationship where it's like, for about the same price you pay for your Netflix subscription every month, you can get comprehensive financial planning services from our firm.
Okay. And so what does that look like? Can you kind of share a little bit about what that subscription would look like for someone?
Yeah, so that's like the part that we don't have like totally built out yet, and like kind of that we're working on, because obviously, I'm a younger guy. I like supporting those type of people. I'm a first generation business owner of a 5-year-old company, and so I like those type of people too, who maybe don't have a bunch of assets, like people that are getting ready to retire. And so what that would look like is, it'd be a nominal fee, like somewhere between like $5 or $10 a month that we're thinking, where there would be an initial plan creation, and then same thing, like on a monthly basis, we would request some feedback from you or the client, the member, and based on how they answered those questions, then we would know that, hey, we need to review something. So like, let's say you were a client and you had a baby, and I know, like you have a child, especially the first one, it's like there's a lot of stuff going on. You're not thinking about, I need more life insurance. You're not thinking about, hey, I need a will in case something happens to both of us. But over a period of time, we're going to ask you for some feedback, and we're going to have a good enough relationship with you that we would know you had a baby anyways. It's just an example, but we would get some feedback from you that would say, hey, there's a new life here, and based on that feedback, we would know that, hey, you need to think about X, Y, and Z, and then we're going to hold your feet to the fire to make sure it happens, because that's kind of the toughest part is, a lot of people know what the right thing is to do, but the hard part is actually getting to the finish line, and so that's kind of where we step into to make sure it gets done.
So that accountability partner,
right?
Making sure that you've set this goal,
right? But
now how are we going to achieve it?
Yep.
So
exactly,
definitely important, I think, in every aspect. But especially with retirement and building that wealth, you don't. When you're 20-something, you're not thinking about what life's going to be like when you're 70 or 60, or even at what age do you want to retire and what it's going to take. Yeah,
and so Vanguard has a study, and they found that having a relationship with an advisor can add like 3% net returns to your investments every year. And it's kind of cool. Like I can put it in your notes, or we can send it to people if they want to see it. But it breaks it down like where that 3% comes from, and half of it is in behavior coaching. And so that behavior coaching is like, hey, are you taking advantage of the full match of your 401k? If you're not, that's just money sitting on the table. It's, what is your savings rate? People constantly ask me, like, what should I be investing in? And my response is always, well, what's more important is like how much you're investing. What percentage of your income are you saving? That's going to be a bigger factor in you having success over the long term than, what index fund or ETF or mutual fund you're picking.
Right. And so just on a quick note with that, Mike, do you go over their debts as well? So, because it's like if someone is, maybe they're at that 4%, which then their employer matches 4%, that's great.
Yes.
But then if they have all of these student loans, or if they have some other debt, would you normally recommend for them to pay off those debts before increasing that investment percentage?
That's a good question, and it's kind of a case-by-case basis. And student loans is typically like yes, and like credit cards, obviously yes, because the interest rates are so high on that. So we have some technology that helps like gather information from people and kind of give us feedback on like debt, and we can help people come up with plans based on what their situation's like, what cash flow's like. We definitely look at debt. One of the big, speaking of debt, one of the big things that people are always asking us right now, especially retirees, is, do I pay off the house or do I invest? And there's usually two responses there from me. Like one is like sometimes the debt is just a psychological thing, and so if you just want to be debt free, then just be debt free. And then like from a pure math standpoint, it's like, well, the stock market, with dividends has grown like 450% over the last 10 years. And if you got a mortgage that's got less than 3% interest, then, that's kind of an easy decision. But, it just kind of depends on psychologically who you are and, what makes sense.
Yep. And sometimes it's, maybe that's where you are psychologically, or maybe that's the way that your parents were.
Right.
So then it's just having that conversation with someone like you who can break it down and explain just what you said. It's like, well, you're probably going to make more money by keeping your investments where they are than paying off that mortgage that's at 3%.
Right.
So just kind of putting it in perspective and then going from there for each individual client.
Right, yep.
Well, thank you, Logan. I definitely appreciate all of your information today. I hope that our viewers find it as insightful as I did. And it's always important to get started on planning for retirement, right? It's never too early.
Exactly.
All right, so how can our viewers reach out to you? Where can they find you?
They can find me on Facebook, Instagram. I think my handle on Instagram is just Logan Queck, QUECK.com. Website is our firm name is Integrity Wealth Management. It's kind of confusing. One hard thing about naming a business is finding a URL that's not taken either. So our URL is a little bit different. It's integrityguidance.com. So you can find us there, and yeah.
Perfect. All right, well, I'll make sure that we have all of that listed below today's video, as well as that other report that you were talking about from Vanguard. Definitely some important information for people to read.
Right.
Until next time, stay committed to your health and home goals.